Good morning. Welcome to the 1984 Copyright Office big event. It's a great honor for me to be opening this very special celebration of the year's achievements and to welcome our guests, Mrs. Ladd, our union and guild presidents, copyright stewards, Bill Ganato, Margaret Cox, and our friends of copyright who have volunteered to be ushers today. If I appear a bit nervous, it's because I am. I feel a little bit like Cecil B. DeMille on the opening night of one of his Cast of Thousands extravaganzas. And although we didn't have a cast of thousands working on this production, I would like to say a public word of thanks to the numerous planners and coordinators of this event. A tremendous amount of behind-the-scenes work went into this mini extravaganza, but for the efforts of the entire Chiefs Group, the information and publication staff, the Labor Management Working Group, Joe Miranda, the Copyright Corral, and our very talented accompanists, and my own administrative staff and members of other divisions in the library, this event could not have taken place. A very big thanks to all of you. We are here today because it's important to take time out to reflect on our accomplishments, to celebrate and take pride in our mutual successes. In keeping with our image as innovators, this was a year of firsts for the Copyright Office. For the first time in history, the office registered over 500,000 claims. The licensing division had a record deposit of nearly $100 million. In the spring of the year, we adopted an employee participation-oriented management style as our principal way of operating, a first in government. And we also became the first federal agency that I know of to establish and formalize labor management cooperation through the labor management working groups and the satellite groups. And there were countless other significant achievements in this very productive year. As the Chiefs Group discussed how we might handle the year in review aspect of this program, we figured, why not use the consultative technique I have to say, this is the best award I've ever received. They didn't deduct the taxes first. As I was saying before I received my award, in planning for this review, we decided to consult with you, the people who are responsible for these accomplishments. So for the next few minutes, let's watch and listen to what we've done this year, as told in your own words. Because these accomplishments belong to all of us, each division speaker will read the achievements of a group not his or her own. Shall we begin?
Services to the nation. That's what the Copyright Office offers, and we hope, as our organizational values proclaim, to accomplish every task in a superior, professional, and responsible manner, giving the public the best and most courteous service possible. Unfortunately, we don't have the best slide advancer possible.
We don't have any.
Donna, you're plugged there? It's somewhere in between there. I don't believe this. Aha! And now, the year in review. The best of 1984, a journey through the Copyright Office revealing people serving people. In the Acquisitions and Processing Division, into the mail processing subunit come 4,500 pieces of mail a day. Yet, in 1984, the staff says, through hard work, team spirit, and all the advantages of consultative management, our unit was in a current work status 39 out of 52 weeks, a goal unsurpassed for many, many years. In the Examining and Scheduling Unit, where technicians process fees and send them on to the United States Treasury, the one major accomplishment for 1984 was to maintain a high level of currency in spite of the many obstacles present, while continuing to produce a quality product. It was a year when E&S was training staff and preparing to help automate the entire registration system under COINS Phase 2, and a year when the unit moved to a new location as well. They worked more closely as a team than ever before and maintained some level of sanity and humor, too. The Master Index Unit asked the question, are Master Index cards in the Guinness Book of World Records? If not, we feel they should be, for we're sure we hold the world's record of typing 261,200 Master Index cards in 1984, and we're proud of it. The Materials Expediting Unit keeps track of everything, thank goodness, or at least they try to. In 1984, even though some of the staff in that unit helped out in registration numbering and in correspondence, the unit was proud of its major achievement in keeping ahead of searches by keeping an on-hand count at 200 below its goal of 14 for 14 consecutive months. This team says, we realize that maintaining currency is vital to all of us so that we can better serve the public. It's all done through hard work and dedication and by working as a team. The Correspondence Control Subunit takes pride in overcoming obstacles. Despite all the hardships of staff shortages, acceptance of additional responsibilities, involvement in a major reorganization, and ever-increasing workload demands, the members of the unit excelled this year and received recognition throughout the office for their excellent performance. The accounting unit went online this year as the RIP system went into effect. The accounting A team created more than 225,000 deposit account RIP records in FY84, a record of records. Riptide. Deep in the heart of A&P is the Copyright Acquisitions Unit, which collected materials for the Library of Congress worth more than $5 million in a 6-year period. That figure includes demands initiated by unit librarians, as well as demands made in response to requests from various areas of the library. The Compliance Records Unit, despite an increase in 407 receipts, and a decrease in staff hours kept the weekly arrearage lower than the figure previously established as acceptable. This unit processes incoming serials and other materials which come in through Section 407 of the Copyright Law. They processed their 1 millionth item this year. Stamping to the beat. The registration numbering unit reached an unprecedented landmark by registering 500,000 registrations in 1984, a feat never accomplished before. The registration numbering unit feels this is only the beginning of what's to come. Their next goal, 1 million a year. Their motto, going for it in 85. From the units of the Acquisitions and Processing Division, materials to be registered go on to the Examining Division.
From PA to VA to TX to SR and RE, the Examining Division does its best to apply the law knowledgeably to stay ahead of the game and have a good time while doing it. I just love those parties. The Visual Arts section reorganized itself into 2 teams. Gaining both experience, persons, and supervisory feedback. The reorganization also helped in maintaining the currency of the workflow. The section worked on enriching their training by organizing seminars in lithography, maps, and jewelry. They are proud to say, with all this, our productivity rose 25%, so that for the first time in years, ground zero currency has been achieved in examining cash claims. In by Monday, out by Friday. For the Performing Arts section, 1984 was a year when increased use of consultative management enhanced individual morale and team spirit by improving communication at all levels. Staff had more input and management had the benefit of staff ideas. It was a year of much progress, the kind of progress that streamlines the work. They wrote new guide letters, form letters, and patent paragraphs, and refined the distribution system for greater flexibility. In spite of increased receipts and staff shortage, the section had a very good year. 1984 was a year when the Renewals and Documents section actively participated in its own reorganization. As the pilot project for examining and recording documents moved along, the R&D section took an active part in its construction from the ground up. The next step will be reorganizing the examining renewals, again with the staff actively participating. Our great accomplishment was the creation of and training in numerous streamlined procedures, said the literary section. And apparently it worked, as the literary section reduced its correspondence by 1/3 over the course of the year, yet enhanced the quality of that correspondence by updating guide letters, training staff in effective letter writing, and by reorganizing the manual of practices and procedures. Staff training was also a big plus, with seminars in examining computer program claims, writing, and screening. As staff tried out structuring their own days and the work of technicians expanded, overall productivity went up.
So out the door of the examining division, good. So out the door of the examining division into the records management division, where a CPU, Certificate Production Unit, applies the seal of the Copyright Office to completed registrations and sends the registrations, more than 500,000 a year, back out to remitters. Being among the smallest of units in the Copyright Office, simply staying abreast of the workflow was an accomplishment in itself for CPU. but it was current for 90% of the year, experiencing only occasional backlogs due to what the office affectionately calls bubbles. Through the use of teamwork, determination, and just plain effort, they overcame 3 such major overloads, in one case eliminating 36 trucks during a 16-hour stand. A quality circle, new copiers, pre-sealed paper, and working on an updated position description and a move also were in the works for CPU this year, but their greatest accomplishment is their own pride in their work. Out of the door goes a certificate, but the deposit goes to the deposit storage unit in Landover, where they processed 269,000 new deposits in 1984 and searched for over 6,400 deposits. They also prepared massive transfers of materials to the library and to the remote storage. They help both the copyright community and the library. Though they are small and removed from Capitol Hill, they are dedicated to their mission. On hand to make records of it all is a preservation section. This section operated to its fullest capacity without a supervisor during part of 1984 and set all-time high production records for this year. They finished 3 projects. First, the microfilming of early sheet music. Second, preparing licensing statements of account. And third, microfilming unpublished lectures from 1909 to 1977. They are proud to be able to assist the library's patrons by providing these deposits on film to researchers, in addition to serving the copyright community by preserving copyright records. And on hand to make sure the public has access to it all is the Records Maintenance Unit. In 1984, its most significant accomplishment was the clearing of much-needed shelving to expand the growing TX class. They may be deep in the heart of the Madison building, but they're also in the middle of it all as they meet their goal of providing accurate, useful, and timely information and service. The division office felt that its greatest accomplishment was improving that small is indeed beautiful. By consciously keeping our operation on a manageable, streamlined, and human scale, we are able to accomplish our mission and enjoy each day for what it offers.
And who makes sure the records are accessible? Why, the cataloging division, of course, where record making is an art. It was a year of streamlining for the audiovisual section in the cataloging division. Its one team achieved the highest quality of cataloging in the history of the section in 1984 at a time when receipts were up by 15% and the staff level had decreased by 20%. The staff here is highly qualified, cooperative, and committed. But besides that, everyone worked just plain hard. In addition, the special cataloging team helped, and the supervisors helped with revision. Greater efficiency was achieved without sacrificing the integrity of the catalog record. The performing arts section, in spite of losses in staffing, including a team leader and a senior cataloger, actually produced more work than the year before and operated most of the year with an on-hand figure below the section's goal of 5,000 items, until it was hit in mid-October by a flood tide of registrations. This section mentioned its hearty approval of the new promotion plan, which led to 5 promotions in this section. The 3 teams of the literary section organized a suggestions committee as part of the consultative management approach. One of the strongest morale boosters under this management style was the opportunity to participate in the process of restructuring the section's team and seating assignments. This new emphasis on consultative management has resulted in an improved quality of work life, better communication, and improved training. Though staffing levels were decreased by 9%, the section increased productivity by 9.5%. The serials section, made up of 2 teams in the face of shortages of staff ranging from 10 to 20% all year long, nevertheless kept the work on hand at a manageable level. They also made major progress in working with the Automated Systems Office on the redesigning of the Copix online cataloging system for serials. Serials input and retrieval is not far away. The visual arts section maintained a high rate of productivity in spite of a constant shortage of staff that at times exceeded 20%. But morale remained high due in part to the introduction of consultative management, a revision of the descriptive cataloging rules of the section, and the new promotion plan. If it were not for the team's courage and determination, the section would be faced with an overwhelming backlog at present. The technical support section helped manage a smooth transition from old computer terminals to new terminals in February. The old Sycor terminals were replaced with new NTI terminals after much testing and planning. The section helped introduce staff to new equipment and prepared helpful training handouts. The Documents Pilot Project began its operations as an experiment in using a product line approach in August 1984. Planned by cataloging and the renewals and document section of examining, the goal was to process documents with an 8-week turnaround. The staff says, it appears the product line is successful and has afforded the staff an opportunity for personal and professional growth, an example of productive results that can be obtained when staff and management work in a consultative manner to solve problems.
In the Information and Reference Division, a lot of translating goes on, translating the information and policies of the Copyright Office into accessible English. Lots of this communication goes on in the Public Office, in the Information Unit, which in 1984 maintained overall productivity without sacrificing quality, despite the unexpected loss of 4 information specialists. Each staff member demonstrated dedication to public service in meeting the challenge of an increased workload. The effective assistance provided by the Examining Division and the support and cooperation of the rest of the office brought them through the crisis. The installation of a new telephone system gives hope for the future. Quality publications for the creative community. From big ideas to little details, the Publications Unit brings it all together to create well-written, visually appealing publications, announcements, and other productions, such as the slideshow you are now watching. Putting these publications together is the unit's biggest achievement. These individuals send the news to a mailing list of more than 10,000 across the United States, and they produce publications on every topic for an audience that includes everyone from authors to lawyers to school children. For our own staff, they create copyright notices, of course. The Clerical Support Unit, during 1984, dramatically increased its ability to handle the number of incoming hotline telephone requests for circulars, forms, and other copyright material as the numbers of those calls increased by 50%. That the staff of the unit can fill this tremendous volume of requests, generally within the span of only 1 working day, and still find time to answer and dispose of a large correspondence workload is a tribute to their resourcefulness. The staff of the Certifications and Documents section is most proud of its record in fiscal 1984 of continuing to provide documents and information to the public in an accurate and timely manner. The single most productive event in C&D in fiscal 1984 was the receipt of long-awaited sound equipment, enabling the section to provide more responsive service to clients. The Reference and Bibliography section considers its biggest accomplishment for 1984 to be its 15% increase in numbers of titles searched.
This increase was accomplished through the adoption of many innovative ideas during the year. It was also accomplished while experiencing a high vacancy rate and while dealing with a 45% increase in the number of visitors to the office who required varying degrees of training and assistance in the use of the copyright card catalog and the automated catalog. The correspondence and information assistants in the reference and bibliography section would like you to know that their big accomplishment for fiscal year 1984 was the attainment of total currency in their typing workload. Not only did they attain this noteworthy goal, but they have maintained it for several months. They are proud to say that they have sustained this currency level while lending assistance to the BioBib collection, the division office, the publications section, and the literary section of the examining division.
The heart of the compulsory licensing system of royalties for cable television program producers and jukebox record producers is our licensing division. In the Office of the Chief, the staff revised the cable statement of account forms, assisted with new regulations, and designed new supplemental forms, primarily in response to the Copyright Royalty Tribunal's adjustment of the compulsory licensing rates for cable television systems. $20 million in additional royalty fees were paid in this last summer. The division is also proud of its new jukebox. In the accounting and records section, the records maintenance clerks received and processed the largest volume of mail ever, without the accumulation of any backlogs and without any delays in forwarding the fees and forms to the accountants. Similarly, the accountants deposited the largest amount of royalty fees ever received, approximately $100 million, in record time, accruing the highest level of interest ever received for the copyright owners with respect to the royalty fees. In the examining and processing section, the staff demonstrated its team spirit and ability to work within difficult deadlines. To implement the decisions of the Copyright Royalty Tribunal, the staff targeted all affected cable statements of account and prepared special labels to use on supplemental forms to provide for the immediate depositing and accounting of $23 million in additional royalty fees. To accomplish this, they underwent extensive training in the techniques of applying the rates based on new rules, redirecting energies to implement the diverse and ever-changing compulsory licensing requirements.
It is only fitting that in this most productive of years, the Register staff also had spectacular achievements and novel accomplishments. These include significant contributions in the area of international copyright by planning and overseeing an exceptional 3-week symposium on sources of international copyright law, which featured world-renowned experts, by participating in a number of overseas government missions aimed at reducing piracy of copyrighted works, by preparing a major report entitled To Secure Intellectual Property Rights in World Commerce, which was delivered to Congress in September 1984, by working behind the scenes for United States adherence this year to the Brussels Satellite Convention, and by assisting and supporting the People's Republic of China in developing a copyright structure similar to that of the United States. A highly successful 3-day conference for Congress and its staff on the copyright implications of new technology. Completion and imminent publication of the bulk of Compendium 2 of the Copyright Office practices, a 4-year project which can only be classified as tedious, but most important. Technical assistance on the soon-to-be-opened exhibit entitled By Securing to Authors. Complete planning of the March 1984 teleconference entitled The Copyright Office Speaks on Computer Software, broadcast through the Chamber of Commerce satellite network and attended by more than 650 individuals. Preparation of a study to be delivered this month to Senator Mathias on the size and importance of the United States copyright industries, and presentation of the Copyright Law course, Principles of Copyright Law and Recent Developments, successfully completed by more than 85 staff members. Atlas holding up the world, supporting everybody, is the Copyright Office automation staff. Besides working heartily all year long to move the office to full automation through the RIP system and COINS 3, the staff here counted among its achievements the installation of the first personal computer, an IBM XT, as symbolizing the coming of age of automation in the Copyright Office. The IBM personal computer will be used to track work in the reference and bibliography section, to communicate with the library's mainframe, and to access an outside database, the LexisNexis system.
Hollywood has its A-team, and so does the Copyright Office. We see ourselves as the admin A-team, says this group, providing active assistance to all members of the department. Apparently, they also see themselves as poets. In 1984, the A-team handled an unprecedented workload. It counts as some of its best achievements, working on 6 major reorganization and classification packages, coordinating 21 space moves with all the furniture and equipment moving that involves, organizing in-house training, providing administrative support for the Labor Management Working Group, the Chiefs Group, and the library staff, constantly monitoring a $17 million budget. Eric monitors the budget, but Grace ought to be paid $17 million for monitoring Eric. And coordinating copyright and LC activities. But most of all, the admin A-team works at building good relationships throughout the office. And I'd just like to add here that I've worked in 5 departments in the library, and I must say that our administrative office is definitely the best that I've seen.
If admin is the A-team, then the staff of the General Counsel's office is the team of Night Court. They wrote the script. During 1984, the General Counsel's office was pleased to have been able to play a key role in a number of significant legal and legislative accomplishments. Among those were preparing the first draft of the Semiconductor Chip Protection Act of 1984, the legislation which, after passage by the House of Representatives, became the basis for the final draft of the legislation creating a new form of intellectual property, preparing legal briefs and generally assisting the Department of Justice in winning court approval of Copyright Office actions in 4 cases, with no cases decided against the office. And finally, preparing major amendments to the Copyright Office regulations relating to the administration of the cable compulsory license of the Copyright Act.
In its first 9 months of existence, the Labor Management Working Group had a major influence on charting the future courses of the Copyright Office. We accomplished this through our sponsorship of 4 major office-wide training events, a 3-year extension of the agreement that established the Working Group, and that very important step of establishing the Vision Satellite Groups, a big achievement in under 1 year. Short, y'all.
Here ends our version of the Copyright Office Year in Review. For more, including the Chief's reflection on the year just passed and a host of amazing pictures, please be sure to get your copy of our special issue of Copyright Notices as you leave the auditorium. Thank you.
Now that everyone has been recognized for their individual contributions to the Best of 84, this celebration would not be complete without giving special recognition to the many individuals who made outstanding contributions using the consultative management process and serving on divisional, interdivisional, and library-wide task groups and committees. So we would like for all those staff members who served on these different committees and task groups to please stand. Also, we would like the staff members who have served on rating panels, for without their service, we would not have all the new wonderful employees. So would you please stand? Rating panel members. The next group of individuals who will surely make significant contributions to the Best of 85, along with the rest of us, the Divisional Satellite Label Management Working Groups. Will the Acquisitions and Processing Satellite Group please stand? The Examining Division Satellite Group. The Information and Reference Division Satellite Group. The Cataloging Division Satellite Group. The Licensing Division Satellite Working Group. And finally, the Record Management Satellite Working Group. Let's give all of these groups who've made significant contributions to the Best of 84 another round of applause, please. Thank you.
One of the things that's happened that I think is a really happy result of all the things that we've been doing over the last 4 years is that more and more of you are coming up with wonderful suggestions on how we can improve the work and the work life of the Copyright Office. And a while back, I received a suggestion from one of the employees here who doesn't know that he's going to be honored today. As a matter of fact, I told his chief, who is also affectionately known as Secret Squirrel, to make sure that he would have that person in attendance today, but he doesn't know why he was being assured that he had to be here. At any rate, the suggestion that we received was one that relates to recognition of people on the staff who have done significant things. Of course, we take an active role in the Libraries Incentive Awards group, and committees, and we like to give a lot of incentive awards in the Copyright Office, but we also wanted to have some kind of special recognition that related to the Copyright Office as we are a personal family. So this person came up with a suggestion that I think was a wonderful one, and that is that we have our very own Copyright Office Certificate of Recognition. And what I would like to do is give that very first Copyright Office Certificate of Recognition to the person whose suggestion that was. George Bennett, are you here? I hope you are. Would you like to come up? Copyright Office, Certificate of Appreciation presented to George Bennett for your significant contribution to the creation of the Copyright Office Certificate of Appreciation. Signed, David Lansing.
It is my pleasure to introduce to you the Copyright Chorale. It's only fitting that the Copyright Office have a chorale to perform the works of great authorship, since it's the copyright law that encourages these great works. In preparing to introduce the Copyright Chorale, I decided to do some research on how it was formed and why it was formed. And so I went to the Performing Arts section to find out about its humble origins, and I found out it has a mother and a father. The mother of the chorale is Shirley Wendell, and one day she happened to be sitting and mentioned that with all of the wonderful creative people that are in the Copyright Office, why can't we perform for Christmas in the foyer of the Madison Building? So that it was born around Christmas time, and they performed for the very first time in, we think, 1974. There was not much consensus on when the chorale was formed. Apparently, the dates go from 1970 to 77, but we settled on 1974. So the very first performance was, we think, Christmas of 1974. It was in the lobby of Crystal Mall Building 2. I found out that one of the things that the audience didn't realize, that there was a trained chorus here, and they came and sang and spoiled some of the magic effects. But since that date, their renown has been well known, and they have been invited to perform in a variety of different places, including the Great Hall for all of the Christmas celebrations and for all of the special Copyright Office occasions. For those of you who have never heard them, you're in for a great treat. The Copyright Chorale is led by Joe Miranda.
This year in review would not be complete without the comments of the Register of Copyrights, David Ladd, who throughout his tenure as Register has willingly and often shared his views with us, both personally and through copyright notices. And so, even though today we have every reason to celebrate, we also have reason to be sad, since this will be our last real opportunity to have him speak to us as Register. In his 4 years as Register, David Ladd has mandated and supported a new environment in the Copyright Office, one where employees can truly be self-motivated and fulfilled. He has given each of us a share in the leadership of the National Copyright Office of the United States, and in doing so, he has ushered in a new era of quality work and quality of work life for all Copyright Office employees. He's been our champion, an eloquent spokesman for and defender of the office on all fronts, administrative, political, and legal. And even when both national and international copyright caused him to begin crisscrossing the United States and the world on copyright business, his force was with us. The force that was the self-confidence he has given us to follow the mandate of employee involvement and labor management cooperation. That force was the renewed pride in ourselves that he made us feel. That force was the mutual vision he had given us of the ideal place we are all working for copyright to become. David Ladd caused us to question, to discover, and to grow. He set us on a clear course to the future, and he gave us the courage to move in that bold new direction with resolve, mutual respect, and yes, even humor. As I searched for a quotation to end this introduction, I happened upon one that I think describes Mr. Ladd and the vision he brought to us back in 1980. Robert Kennedy put it this way: "The future does not belong to those who are content with today, apathetic toward common problems and their fellow man alike, timid and fearful in the face of bold new ideas and projects. Rather, it will belong to those who can blend passion, reason, and courage in a personal commitment to great ideals and great enterprises." And so, that is what he has done for us. And, Mr. Ladd, though you are leaving the job of Register, you will not really be gone. Your vision, your great ideals, and your force will remain with us for a very long time.
Grace, I feel the same way you do. I want to thank the chorale again. I have never heard the chorale that I have not been moved. Somehow the chorale represents what the Copyright Office is here for. It was a wonderful contribution to this event. And this event is, after all, a celebration. And the festive quality of the celebration, I think, was served by the show that you saw and by the wonderful touches of humor which illuminated it. We're here to celebrate the, increases in productivity, and as you saw the slideshow, the theme appeared time after time: a greater workload, recurrent problems, coping, and handling them in a professional manner. And productivity is important, although that's not the central thing that we're going to talk about today. It has improved markedly, and that performance has been recognized by congressional committees, and you know that because some of those words of praise from congressional committee have appeared in copyright notices. And it's not merely celebrating the improvement of our service to the public, but that's important too. And as you know from some of the things which have appeared in copyright notices, now wherever I go all over the country, people comment on how they are treated by the Copyright Office and by the quality of service that they get. That's nice to hear, and it's nice to pass on to you. And in many cases, those comments have come directly to you in the operating divisions of the office. Primarily, I think today we should celebrate that the Copyright Office has done something very bold, very courageous, and very innovative. It has, I think, begun to redefine the culture of the Copyright Office itself. And the success of that, I think, is already felt. I think that you feel that. We have introduced a management style which allows greater participation than many people thought possible by all of our employees, greater than some people still think possible. But it is possible because you are doing it, and you have done it. The style has enabled a kind of management-labor cooperation which really is unheard of in the government. And that's the meaning of the labor management satellite groups who stood here and took your applause just a moment ago. They are in place, they are working, and they are working well, and they represent and are creating the best kind of climate for all of us. What we're doing in this respect is important for us, it's important for the office, it's important for the library, but it's also important for the government as a whole, because we are demonstrating that this kind of management with significant employment and employee involvement is indeed possible. But when you step back from the words consultative management and what you have seen described already in the show today, what are we trying to do? What should any institution try to do? It should try to create a place where we can live in the knowledge that our work, in this case copyright, is important and it has meaning, that we are important to that work, and that we are good at our work, and that people know that, and that everyone here has a voice in shaping what that work is and how it will be done. If I look back over the last 4.5 years that I have been here, I think that the thing which gratifies me most is the vitality and morale of the office. Anger and frustration never disappear totally from any organization, and they never disappear totally from anybody's life. But a lot of the anger and frustration that I sensed when I first came here has been drained away. There is now a new vitality, a new optimism, and a new confidence in the organization. This is, as Grace says, my opportunity to make my first goodbye to you, because I'll still be here until January the 2nd. But nevertheless, I do want to make the first, what I'll call the first of my goodbyes. It is time for me to go. When I came here, I promised the library that I would stay for 5 years, and I'm now approaching the end of my 5th year. I must say that I leave with some sorrow, a lot of satisfaction, I think you can tell from what I've already said, but with some sorrow too, because I never again expect to hold a job where what I do every day has lain so close to my central values. Serving copyright and serving the Copyright Office has really been for me a kind of sacred work. So I told you in the memorandum that I sent around that I'm merely leaving the post. I'm not leaving the friendships that I have here, nor the memories that I have here. And I don't want to give you a long list, but I want to give you just an idea of the kinds of memories that I take with me. I remember, for example, Billy Shuttleworth breaking me in the mailroom and being impatient because I really didn't understand what the phrase "the bottom of the fee" meant. I'm still not sure I know what the bottom of the fee means. There was the very difficult time that we had in the period when we put out the massive 108I report on photocopying, with people working literally around the clock. The mutual support, the humor which sustained us, and a vignette which occurred during that time when one of the professionals working on the report momentarily blew his cool. And I watched Marilyn Kretzinger, with caring and sweetness, simply talk this person back to sanity from his, from his momentary hysteria. I will never forget that. I remember what the mailroom looked like when I first came. I remember what Richard Johnson and Kenny Williams did and what Bill Bowden has continued to do. I remember the bravery with which people who had worked long and hard on coins confronted the reality that it was not going to be delivered on time and that this was going to impose a lot of difficult burdens on a lot of people. That has shown a lot of stamina and a lot of character and a lot of maturity, and I will not forget that either. I will remember holding a supervisor in my arms, crying because demeaned in a baseless lawsuit. I will remember watching one of our employees in momentary distress and with enormous courage fighting his way back to health. I will remember the endless frustrations with CompuCorp, which I am pleased to announce we are removing from the Office of the Register and from the Office of General Counsel. I have enjoyed chatting with Frank Avina about his latest triumphs in dealing with celebrities, and especially relishing his conversations with Marlene Dietrich. And I want to thank all of you who, on the street or in the hall, from time to time, have offered me personal words of encouragement, because I have frequently needed it. I have always appreciated it, and I have usually benefited from it. So for all these memories and for the privilege of working with you and for you, I do thank you. But there is a special thanks that I want to offer, and that is to Grace Reed. It is true that we have viewed our mission and our goals in the same way. It is true that I have supported her every step of the way. But Grace represents in her person those qualities which I want to see, and I think are becoming, to represent the Copyright Office itself: strength, hope, optimism, and the ability to go into a difficult situation where feelings are sour and to come up with sane and humane resolution. Much good that has happened while I have been here has been due to Grace. So I've thought for a long time about what I might leave you. Some symbol to represent the kind of feeling that I'm telling you about now. And as I turned it over in my mind, I settled upon a phrase. It's not original. There's no hope of copyright protection. I took it from somebody else, but I'm going to leave it with you nonetheless. It came to me, and I give it to you, not as a boast, but simply as a phrase which will mark your accomplishment, declare your resolve, and forecast your future. And that phrase is best in government. Okay. Grace, what do I do now?
She ensconced me here for purpose.
Okay.
Keep you here.
A recent issue of Billboard said that Mr. Ladd, during his 4 years as Register of Copyrights, has made a name for himself as a champion of proprietary rights. Looks like Billboard has scooped us again. Those of us who work closely with Register Ladd and those of us who have read of his activities as Register clearly remember his courageous stands on behalf of proprietors, particularly in the congressional, legislation, and judicial arenas involving cable television and home taping, but also in the less well-publicized discussions in the library itself over the far-reaching optical disc project. Mr. Ladd was able single-handedly to convince the highest library officials that the best interests of both authors and proprietors, and indeed of the library itself, lay in the careful observance of copyright principles. His devotion to these principles ranged far beyond national interest. And our farewell gift to him, which comes from 19th century China, is a token of the energies that he expended in teaching and advising the People's Republic as that nation embarks on a significant program to create for the first time a national copyright law. We wish you success and a lot of personal satisfaction in your new job.
Since you were so instrumental in making it possible for the office to have the upcoming copyright exhibit, and since it was through your efforts that we have gathered such spectacular objects, such as the Maltese Falcon, in a lighter vein, we would like to present you with another gift, a replica of that falcon, to remind you of both us and of the first exhibit devoted to copyright.
When we first started talking about having the copyright exhibit, I said, wouldn't it be wonderful if we could get some symbol like the Maltese Falcon? There's a story which will undoubtedly appear either in copyright notices or in some publication in connection with the opening exhibit about how, after being initially told it didn't exist anymore, it was tracked down by the library. So, thank you.
The gift that I will present will come a little bit later. As you will notice, Mr. Ladd, we have been videotaping this entire program, so I hope that you have enjoyed it enough to want to see it over and over again. It's my pleasure to tell you that we will be giving you a complete set of the videotapes for you to keep, and we hope that they will give you fill many voids of your leisure time with never-ending excitement.
My question is, who owns the copyright?
In recognition of your special services to the Copyright Office, this certificate of appreciation is presented to David Ladd from the staff of the Copyright Office for your distinguished service as Register of Copyright this 5th day of December, 1984, from your staff.
David, in the past few years, I think all of us here today, and certainly those who know you well, have come to admire your courage, your willingness to take risks, your stamina in the face of bureaucratic hurdles, or that might better be put, your cleverness at outwitting other bureaucrats, and above all, your support of the staff. The people in the audience today, therefore, would like to salute your Olympian efforts with an Olympic-style farewell. Okay, Rob?
1, 2, 3. It didn't work.
Don't worry. Don't worry. The labor management satellite groups will iron it out.
David, what it was supposed to say was a big goodbye. And I'd just like to add that I don't think I, for one, would not have risked this and risked this failure if I hadn't felt supported and confident on stage. Thank you.
We appreciate it immensely, and I appreciate it myself very personally. Thank you very much for that. Now we're going to sing a song for you as our gift to you from us. And I hope you enjoy it. You'll want to join me?
Bring on
is a wonderful gift, and doesn't the song say it all, and haven't you sung it all?
Here endeth the extravaganza. I would like to remind you as you leave today that we have that special edition of copyright notices. And without the work of Winston Tabb, Joan Doherty, and the Information and Publications Unit, there is no way that we could have done all that we've done today. In addition, as you leave, there's a small token gift that we have for you, which we hope will remind you of Mr. Ladd's promise to us of best in government. It's a small magnetic button with these metal walls that we have in the Madison Building. I think we can have plenty of use for them. Thank you very, very much.
Thanks a million. I'll see you tomorrow.